Burberry, a brand that once defined British luxury, is now struggling to stay relevant. With declining revenues, profit warnings, suspended dividends, and falling out of the FTSE 100, does the Daniel Lee and Joshua Schulman dynamic duo have what it takes to make Burberry great again? Before we get to that answer, let's dig into the history of the brand. Burberry was founded in 1856 by Thomas Burberry, and at the time, his goal was to create stylish, functional outerwear. The brand was quickly positioned as the uniform for the outdoorsy elite. In 1876, Thomas Burberry invented gabardine, which is the innovative fabric used to create the iconic Burberry trench coats. These trench coats were such a hit that he also created trench coats for soldiers during the World Wars. In the 1920s, the Nova check was introduced. It was officially introduced as the inner lining for the trench coats, but it soon went on to be a hallmark of the brand. The Nova check became a key signifier of the Burberry brand, but it also became one of the biggest problems the brand faced. With the rise of celebrity, British class distinctions were changing, and Burberry was not only exclusive to the bourgeoisie base, but found its way onto some not so traditionally elite celebrities. As the brand appeal and desirability grew, the Nova check found its way onto some less desirable customers, and there was a time when the Burberry Nova check was pretty much synonymous with football hooligans and chavs. And of course, there was a significant rise in fakes and counterfeits. As a result of this, the traditional Burberry customer started distancing themselves with the brand because there was just nothing good with wearing a brand that is associated with chavs. This really marked the beginning of the identity crisis for Burberry because as a consequence, the brand, of course, decided to distance itself from the Nova check, reducing its appearance in collections and really wanted to refocus and reposition itself as a traditional heritage brand. The task then, and it really still is the task now, is to maintain the status as a luxury brand whilst appealing to a broader, younger audience and also not alienating its core customer. Christopher Bailey joined Burberry in 2001 as creative director to attempt to reverse the damage that had been done. He spent 17 years at the brand in various positions, including simultaneously juggling the role as creative director and CEO, and then went on to be president. He had a long tenure at the brand, and he did what needed to be done to seek to reverse the damage. It was time for a change, and there was still the requirement to appeal to a younger, more trendy audience. So they appointed Riccardo Tisci as creative director. He came in and said, yeah, Burberry, but make it street style. And this was just really at odds with the seasons that came before and really what Burberry stood for. Although the collections were on trend at the time because streetwear was a big thing, it just, one, didn't appeal to the core Burberry customer and didn't really attract the new customer that they were looking to get. And most importantly, those collections really just did alienate the long-standing Burberry loyalists. In 2002, Riccardo Tisci was replaced with Daniel Lee, who is the current creative director at Burberry. He's a Yorkshireman that was previously at Bottega Veneta, had an amazing time there, and he was brought in to redefine the aesthetic of Burberry. There was also another leadership change in 2004 where Joshua Schulman was brought in as CEO. Now, he's had an amazing career in the fashion industry, but most notably, he was pretty much responsible for the Coach turnaround story. So combining Joshua and Daniel together, the strategy is redefine Burberry and turn things around very quickly. So it's been a few years with Daniel Lee in his role. There have been many rumors that he will be leaving as CEO. I have fueled a few of them. But following the latest Autumn/Winter 25 collection, I think Daniel Lee is here to stay. And given the history of creative directors, I think what Burberry needs right now is stability. They need stability and they need someone to execute a long-term vision and a long-term plan. Now onto the Autumn/Winter collection. The collection was inspired by weekends in the country, presenting an idealistic view of how the world sees the UK. Inspired by interiors of great stately country homes, bringing indoor wallpaper prints and carpet patterns outside. Homage was really paid to that rich heritage of British history, the esteemed wardrobes of the gentry who weekend away in their country homes. But it really did have a youthful, high society feel. The Burberry Nova check has been reclaimed and reimagined in such a subtle way. There is a strong focus on outerwear in the collection, presenting a more diverse offering. And this aligns with the CEO strategy because they really want to go back back to basics and focus on what Burberry's good for, which is functional, stylish outerwear that can withstand the unpredictable British weather. I think this new attempt to appeal to a younger audience, whilst not alienating their core customer, is really going to work, especially in a world where the aspirational customer is on the rise, and a lot of these pieces are quite appealing. Daniel Lee is presenting a new, fresh, modern take of what Britishness means and how that is reflected in clothes. And there is something about these collections that just feels very authentically British, but also super, super inclusive. We're seeing the new era of Burberry's British luxury unfold right before our eyes.